The alarm wasn't supposed to sound like that. Minho had heard training alarms 100 times before, but this one was different. It screamed through the halls of Orbital Station Sentinel-7 with a desperate urgency that made his stomach drop. He was in the middle of a simulation with his squad when the lights changed from white to red. Jisoo looked up from her tactical display, her eyes wide. Hyejin's fingers froze over her engineering console. Taijin stopped laughing at whatever joke he'd been telling. Nari glanced at Minho, waiting for orders like she always did. "This is not a drill," the station's computer voice announced. "All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill." Minho's mouth went dry. In 3 years at the academy, he'd never heard those words outside of simulations. He was 19 years old, still 18 months away from graduation. He commanded a squad of 5 cadets who'd barely started their 3rd year of training. They were students, not soldiers. The station shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Through the window, Minho saw something that shouldn't be possible. Ships were burning. Real ships. The defense platforms that surrounded Earth's premier military academy were exploding one after another, lighting up space with bright orange flowers of fire. "Everyone move!" Minho shouted. His squad ran after him into the corridor. Other cadets were flooding out of classrooms and training rooms, all of them looking scared and confused. Instructors were shouting orders, trying to organize the chaos. Minho found Commander Park, his tactical instructor. The older man's face was bleeding from a cut above his eye. "Sir, what's happening?" "Attack," Commander Park said quickly. "The Vrexil. They hit us without warning. Get to the hangar. All cadets are being evacuated to the surface." But before Minho could move, another explosion rocked the station. The floor buckled. Commander Park pushed Minho against the wall just as a piece of the ceiling crashed down where he'd been standing. When the dust cleared, the commander wasn't moving. Nari dropped beside him immediately, checking for signs of life. Her hands shook as she felt for a pulse. She looked up at Minho and slowly shook her head. More explosions. More screaming. Minho grabbed his communicator. "This is Cadet Minho to all senior officers, requesting instructions." Static. He tried again. "Anyone respond? What are our orders?" A weak voice came through. "Command deck destroyed. Admiral Lee is dead. Most senior staff are gone. Cadets need to evacuate immediately. Get to the ships." The hangar was chaos. Hundreds of cadets were trying to board evacuation shuttles. But through the bay doors, Minho could see enemy ships approaching. They were massive, shaped like crescents, with dark metal that seemed to swallow light. The Vrexil Dominion. Humanity had known they existed, had even traded with them, but no one expected this. Hyejin pulled at his sleeve. "The shuttles won't make it. Those ships will shoot them down before they reach Earth's atmosphere." She was right. The enemy ships were positioning themselves between the station and Earth. Anyone who launched would be destroyed in seconds. "The training cruiser," Jisoo said suddenly. "The Defiance Hope. It's armed. It's designed for combat simulations." Minho stared at her. "That's a school ship. We're cadets." "We're all that's left," Jisoo said quietly. The station shook again, harder this time. Emergency lights flickered. Somewhere in the distance, Minho heard the sound of air rushing out into space. Hull breach. They were running out of time. He looked at his squad. Jisoo, who could analyze a battle in seconds. Hyejin, who could fix anything with wire and determination. Taijin, the best pilot in their class. Nari, who never gave up on anyone. Then he looked at the crowds of younger cadets, 1st and 2nd years, some barely 17 years old. They were all looking at him, waiting for someone to tell them what to do. Minho made a decision that would change everything. "All cadets, listen to me." His voice cut through the panic. "We can't evacuate. The enemy will shoot down the shuttles. But we have one combat-capable ship on this station. Anyone with flight training, engineering skills, or weapons training, get to the Defiance Hope. Everyone else, get to the interior sections of the station and seal the doors. Now." They moved. Minho was surprised how quickly they moved. 147 cadets ran toward the military hangar where the training cruiser waited. It was larger than Minho remembered. a real warship even if it was considered outdated by modern standards. The ship's systems came online as Hyejin worked her magic at the engineering console. Taejin slid into the pilot's seat like he belonged there. Jisoo took tactical. Nari organized the medical bay, pulling anyone with first aid training to help her. Minho sat in the captain's chair. It felt too big for him. He'd sat here dozens of times during simulations, but this was different. His hands were shaking. He pressed them flat against the armrests to make them stop. "Incoming transmission," Jisoo said. The main screen lit up with an alien face. The Vrexil commander looked almost human, but not quite. His skin had a blue tint, and his eyes were too large. He wore armor decorated with symbols that probably meant something important. "Human younglings," the Vrexil said. His translator made his voice sound smooth and certain. "I am Overlord Thex of the Vrexil Dominion. Your defense fleet is scattered. Your station is damaged. I offer you this one chance to surrender. Power down your weapons and prepare to be taken into custody. You will not be harmed. This is more mercy than your kind would show us." Minho looked around the bridge. Every cadet was looking at him. Some were crying, some looked angry, all of them looked scared. He thought about Commander Park, dead in a corridor. He thought about the burning defense platforms. He thought about Earth, blue and beautiful below them, waiting to be attacked. "Well?" Overlord Thex asked. "What is your answer, child?" Minho leaned forward. His voice didn't shake as much as he expected. "I'm Cadet Minho, acting commander of the Earth defense ship Defiance Hope. My answer is no. If you want this station, you'll have to go through us." The alien's expression changed. He almost looked amused. "Brave words from children. So be it. Your deaths will be quick." The transmission ended. Alarms blared as enemy ships locked weapons on them. "Well," Taejin said from the pilot's seat, his voice trying hard to sound brave, "I guess we're doing this." Minho gripped the armrests. "All hands, battle stations. Let's show them what humans can do." The Defiance Hope launched into the darkness, one small ship against an armada. Behind the controls sat 147 cadets who had no idea they were about to change the course of history. The first battle was about to begin. The first missile came faster than Minho expected. Taejin saw it on his display and yanked the controls hard to the left. The Defiance Hope spun, and half the cadets on the bridge grabbed onto something to keep from falling. The missile screamed past them, close enough that Minho swore he could feel the heat. "Return fire," Jisoo shouted. Her fingers flew across the weapons console. 3 torpedoes launched from their ship, streaking toward the nearest Vrexil cruiser. 2 missed. The third hit the shield and exploded harmlessly against the glowing barrier. "Their shields are too strong," Jisoo said, frustration clear in her voice. "Our weapons barely scratch them." Minho's mind raced. In simulations, they'd fought enemy ships dozens of times. But simulations always gave you ships of equal strength. They always gave you a fair chance. This wasn't fair. The Vrexil cruiser was 3 times their size with weapons that could tear them apart. Another missile. Taejin dodged again, but this time he wasn't fast enough. The ship rocked as the blast caught their rear shield. Sparks flew from a console. A cadet screamed. Nari was already moving, pulling the injured girl away from the smoking equipment. "Shield at 60%, Hyejin reported from engineering. "We can't take many more hits like that." "Sir, 3 more enemy ships approaching," Jisoo said. "We're surrounded." Minho looked at the tactical display. She was right. The Vrexil were forming a perfect circle around them, cutting off every escape route. It was textbook strategy. Efficient, professional. They were going to die here and the enemy wouldn't even hurry. They would just slowly crush them like insects. That thought made something click in Minho's mind. "Taejin, take us toward the asteroid field," he said suddenly. "Full speed." The pilot looked at him like he was crazy. "Sir, that field is designated a hazard zone. It's full of mining equipment and debris from training exercises." "Exactly," Minho said. "Do it." The Defiance Hope accelerated toward the asteroid field. The Vrexil ships followed at a careful distance, maintaining their formation. Minho watched them on the screen, noting how they moved. Perfect spacing, perfect coordination. Everything by the book. Hyejin, those mining drones we used last month for the asteroid manipulation exercise, are they still active? Hyejin's eyes went wide. Yes, but they're not weapons. They're just designed to move rocks for students to practice navigation. Can you control them from here? Maybe. The command codes are in the training database. Her fingers started flying across her console. What are you thinking? I'm thinking the Vrexil fight like everything is a simulation. Perfect formation. Perfect tactics. They expect us to fight the same way. Minho leaned forward. But we're not going to fight fair. They entered the asteroid field. Space around them filled with tumbling rocks, old equipment, and dozens of inactive mining drones floating between the larger asteroids. Taijin flew between them with skill that made Minho grateful they had the best pilot in their class. Got the drones, Hyejin said. I have control of 23 units. Jisoo, where are the enemy ships? Following us in. They're maintaining formation even in the field. Wait. She looked closer at her screen. Their formation is wider now. They're adjusting their spacing to account for the asteroids. Minho smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. Which means they're predictable. Hyejin, activate all the drones. I want them to grab the biggest asteroids they can move and throw them at the Vrexil ships. Don't aim carefully. Just throw them everywhere. That's insane, someone said. That's the point, Minho replied. Do it. 23 mining drones roared to life. Each one grabbed an asteroid with its magnetic clamps and started spinning, building momentum. Then they released. Massive rocks flew through space in every direction. The Vrexil ships detected the incoming asteroids and began to dodge, but their perfect formation worked against them. When one ship moved, the others had to adjust to maintain spacing. They got tangled in their own coordination. Fire everything we have, Minho ordered. Target the ship on the left while it's dodging. Jisoo launched their entire missile payload. The Vrexil cruiser, busy avoiding asteroids, didn't expect the sudden attack. Its shields flared as missile after missile struck it. One found a weak point. The explosion lit up the asteroid field. The cadets on the bridge cheered. They'd destroyed an enemy ship. A real enemy ship. But Overlord Thex wasn't amused anymore. Two more cruisers broke formation and came at them from different angles, firing constantly. Taijun dodged through the asteroids using every trick he knew. Several times Minho was certain they were about to crash, but somehow the pilot kept them alive. Shield at 20%, Hyejin warned. One more direct hit and we're done. Jisoo was studying her tactical screen with intense focus. Sir, I'm noticing something. The Vrexil ships only fire when they have a clear shot. They never fire wildly. They never waste ammunition. So they fight with mathematical precision. They calculate everything. Probability, efficiency. They're not reacting to us. They're responding to what their computers say we should do. Minho understood immediately. Which means if we do something unpredictable, something no computer would calculate, we can surprise them. What's more unpredictable than ramming a ship? Taijin asked from the pilot's seat. He wasn't joking. Minho stared at him. It was a terrible idea. Suicidal. No trained officer would ever approve it. But they weren't trained officers. They were cadets who had nothing left to lose. Hyejin, can our forward shield take a collision? At low speed, maybe, but we'd damage ourselves badly. Not if we don't actually hit them, Jisoo said slowly. She was smiling now, that dangerous smile she got when she had a truly terrible idea. What if we fake it? Make them think we're going to ram them. They'll dodge. And while they're dodging, they can't shoot. And if they're not maintaining formation, they're vulnerable. It was crazy. It was desperate. It was exactly what they needed. Taejun, pick the biggest enemy ship and head straight for it. Full speed. Don't slow down until I say. The pilot's hands tightened on the controls. This is either going to be brilliant or get us all killed. Probably both, Minho said. The Defiant's hope accelerated directly toward a massive Vrexil dreadnought. On the bridge, several cadets were praying. Nari was holding onto her medical station with white knuckles. The enemy ship grew larger and larger on the screen until it filled their entire view. They're not moving, Jisoo said, confusion in her voice. They think we're bluffing. We're not, Tajin said. He sounded terrified and excited at the same time. At the last possible second, the Vrexel dreadnought's engines fired. It tried to move out of the way, but ships that large couldn't turn quickly. The Defiant's Hope shot past it, so close that Minho could see the hull plating on the enemy vessel. Jisoo fired every remaining weapon directly into their engine core as they passed. The dreadnought's engines erupted. Secondary explosions rippled across its hull. The massive ship started to drift, dead in space. Taijin let out a whoop. Other cadets were laughing with relief and disbelief. They'd just crippled a dreadnought with a training ship. Overlord Thex's face appeared on their screen again. This time he wasn't amused at all. He looked angry and confused. "What are you?" he demanded. "What manner of warriors are you? You fight without honor, without strategy, without sense. This is chaos, not warfare." Minho was exhausted. He'd been in command for less than 2 hours and it felt like days. But he looked at the Vrexel commander and spoke clearly. "We're not warriors, we're students, and we're humans. We don't fight fair when our home is threatened. We fight to win." The transmission cut off. More enemy ships were coming. But the cadets had learned something important. The Vrexel were stronger, better equipped, and more experienced. But they couldn't adapt. They couldn't handle chaos. And humans were very good at creating chaos. The second battle was coming, but now the cadets had hope. They were learning how to survive. And more importantly, they were learning how to fight back. Minho hadn't slept in 30 hours. His eyes burned and his hands shook when he reached for his coffee. The bridge of the Defiant's Hope smelled like sweat, burned electronics, and fear. They'd won 2 more battles against Vrexel scouting forces, but everyone knew it was temporary. The real fleet was coming. Dong Yun, a second-year cadet who'd somehow managed to repair their long-range communications, looked up from his console. His face was pale. "Sir, I've got something. I managed to boost our signal enough to reach the inner colonies." "Can we call for help?" Minho asked. "Better. I can broadcast. Tell everyone what's happening here. If nothing else, they'll know we fought." Minho thought about that. If they were going to die, at least Earth would know cadets had tried to defend them. "Do it. Send everything. Battle recordings, tactical data, all of it." Dongyun's fingers moved across his console. "Broadcasting now. The message is going out to every human colony, every ship, every station." He paused. "Sir, I'm picking up responses. A lot of them. People are watching." The knowledge that humanity was watching should have made Minho feel better. Instead, it made him feel the weight of every decision. 147 cadets were now the symbol of Earth's resistance. If they failed, it would break human morale across the colonies. "Incoming!" Jisoo shouted. "Multiple ships, big ones. It's the main fleet." The tactical display lit up with red markers. 40 Vrexil warships were approaching in perfect formation. Overlord Thex was done playing games. This was an armada designed to crush any resistance absolutely. "We can't fight that many," Taijin said quietly. "We've been lucky so far, but this is different." He was right. The cadets had won through surprise and unconventional tactics, but the Vrexil had learned from their mistakes. The formation approaching them was designed to prevent the chaos strategies that had worked before. They'd adapted. Nari came onto the bridge. She looked exhausted. Her medical uniform was stained with blood from treating the wounded. "Minho, we need to talk. Private." They stepped into the corridor. Nari's expression was serious. "We have 32 injured. Some of them badly. We're running out of medical supplies, and everyone is exhausted. People are making mistakes because they're so tired." "I know," Minho said. "But if we surrender, the Vrexil will capture the station and use it as a staging point to attack Earth. We're buying time for the defense fleets to regroup." "I'm not saying surrender," Nari said. "I'm saying we need a miracle, and I don't think we have any left." Back on the bridge, Jisoo was studying the enemy formation with intense concentration. "There has to be something, some weakness we can exploit." Hyejin joined her, both of them staring at the tactical display. "Their formation is perfect. Every ship supports the others. If we attack one, the others will cover it. It's a proper military formation." "That's the problem," Jisoo said slowly. It's too perfect, too coordinated. How are they all moving in such precise formation? Command network, Hyejin said. They must all be connected to a central command ship. The flagship coordinates everything. Minho felt something click in his mind. If we take out the flagship, what happens to the rest? They'd lose coordination. But the flagship will be the most heavily defended ship in the fleet. We can't get close to it. What if we don't attack it from outside? Minho said. What if we board it? Everyone on the bridge stopped and looked at him. Taejin laughed, but it was a nervous sound. Board an enemy flagship with what? We don't have assault troops. We're cadets. We have something better, Minho said. We have desperation and the element of surprise. They think we'll fight ship to ship because that's proper tactics. They won't expect a boarding action. Jisoo pulled up the flagship's specifications. It's huge. Crew of over 3,000. Even if we got aboard, we'd be overwhelmed. We don't need to fight the crew, Hyejin said, understanding what Minho was thinking. We just need to reach their command center and disrupt their systems. If I can get to their main computer, I can cause enough chaos to break their formation. It's a suicide mission, Nari said flatly. Everything we've done so far has been a suicide mission, Minho replied, but we're still here. They planned quickly. The Defiant's hope would make a run at the flagship, pretending to attempt another ramming attack. At the last second, they'd launch a boarding pod. It was a training pod, designed for practicing emergency evacuations. But Hyejin said she could modify it to penetrate the flagship's hull. I need volunteers, Minho said. This is dangerous. More dangerous than anything we've done. Taejin stood up immediately. I'll pilot the boarding pod. I'm going too, Jisoo said. You'll need tactical support. Hyejin nodded. And I'm the only one who can hack their systems. I'm going, said a voice from the back. It was Seojin, a quiet third-year cadet who'd barely spoken since the attacks began. I lost my entire squad in the first attack. I want to make the Vrexil pay for that. More voices. More volunteers. Minho had to choose 15 cadets for the boarding team. He picked the ones with the best combat scores from training simulations, knowing it was nothing like real combat. He picked the ones who looked determined rather than scared, though everyone was both. They equipped themselves with whatever weapons the training ship had. Stun rifles designed for practice. Some maintenance tools that could work as weapons. One cadet found a locker of training knives. It wasn't much, but it was all they had. Nari pulled Minho aside before they left. Come back alive. That's an order from your medic. He tried to smile. I'll do my best. The boarding pod was cramped with 15 cadets pressed together. Through the small window, Minho could see the Defiant's hope accelerating toward the Vrexil flagship. Taejin was flying it, making the attack look real. Enemy ships fired at them. Their shields flared with each hit. Launch in 10 seconds, Taejun's voice came through the communicator. 9, 8, 7. Minho's heart was pounding so hard he thought everyone could hear it. He'd never been so scared in his life. He was 19 years old and about to board an alien warship with 14 other teenagers armed with training weapons. 3, 2, 1. Launch. The boarding pod shot out of the Defiant's hope. Minho's stomach lurched as they accelerated. Through the window, he saw the Vrexil flagship growing larger. They were going to hit it at high speed. Hyejin had said the pod's hull could take it. Minho hoped she was right. The impact threw everyone forward against their restraints. Metal shrieked, alarms blared. Then silence. They'd penetrated the hull. Everyone out, Minho shouted. Move. The pod's door blew open. They rushed into a Vrexil corridor. It was massive, designed for beings larger than humans. Emergency lights flashed red. Somewhere an alarm was screaming. A Vrexil soldier appeared. He was huge, nearly 7 feet tall, covered in armor. He stared at the human cadets in shock. He'd expected a ship-to-ship battle, not teenagers with knives appearing in his corridor. Seojin didn't hesitate. He fired his stun rifle. The Vrexil went down. More soldiers were coming. The cadets ran, following Hyejin's directions toward the command center. They fought when they had to. 3 cadets went down, wounded. Minho kept the others moving forward. They reached a massive door. "This is it," Hyejin said. "The command center is behind this. Can you open it?" "No, but I can overload it." She pulled out tools and started working on the control panel. Sparks flew. The door groaned. Behind them, they could hear Vrexil soldiers approaching. "Hurry!" Jisoo urged, her stun rifle pointed down the corridor. The door exploded inward. They rushed into the command center. Vrexil officers stared at them in shock. These were commanders, not soldiers. They weren't ready for a fight. Hyejin ran to the main computer console. Her fingers flew across the alien interface. "I'm in. I'm uploading a virus. It's going to cascade through their entire network." Overlord Thex appeared on one of the screens. His face showed something Minho had never seen before. Fear. "What have you done?" he demanded. "What we had to," Minho replied. The command center's lights flickered. Screens went dark. Throughout the flagship, systems began to fail. And across the entire Vrexil fleet, ships started to drift as their coordination network collapsed. The cadets had done the impossible. They'd boarded an enemy flagship and crippled an armada. But they were trapped inside with thousands of angry Vrexil soldiers between them, and escape. The Vrexil command center descended into chaos. Officers shouted in their language, trying to understand what the humans had done to their systems. Alarms screamed throughout the flagship. Hyejin kept typing, pushing the virus deeper into their network with every second she bought them. "We need to move," Jisoo said urgently. She was watching the entrance. "More soldiers are coming." Minho looked around desperately. They were trapped in the heart of an enemy warship. There was no escape pod here, no way out. He'd led his team on a suicide mission, and now they were going to pay for it. Then Seojin pointed at a wall panel. "Ventilation shaft. It's big enough for us." It was crazy. But everything they'd done so far was crazy. "Everyone in. Now!" The cadets pulled the panel off and climbed into the shaft. It was tight and dark and smelled like recycled air. They crawled through the darkness, hearing Vrexil soldiers flood into the command center behind them. Angry voices. The sound of weapons being charged. "Which way?" someone asked in the darkness. "Away from the soldiers," Minho said. "Just keep moving." They crawled for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. The shaft branched in different directions. Minho picked paths randomly, just trying to put distance between them and pursuit. Finally, they found another panel and emerged into what looked like a cargo bay. Hyejin checked her portable console. The virus was still spreading through the Vrexil network, but it wouldn't last forever. "Their engineers will purge it eventually. Maybe we have an hour before they restore their systems." "The Defiant's hope," Minho said. "Can you contact them?" She tried. "Static. The flagship's hull is blocking our signal. We need to get closer to the exterior." They moved through the ship, trying to stay hidden. It was strange seeing the Vrexil vessel from the inside. Everything was too large, built for beings bigger than humans. The corridors were wide and tall. The doors were massive. It made the human cadets feel small and vulnerable. They ran into a patrol of 3 Vrexil soldiers. The aliens were huge up close, their armor making them look even larger. They raised their weapons. But in the narrow corridor, their size worked against them. The cadets were smaller, faster. Jisoo and Seojin hit them with stun rifles while the others rushed past. But one soldier managed to fire before going down. The energy blast caught Young-ho, one of the second-year cadets. He screamed and fell. Nari wasn't here. Minho had left her on the Defiant's hope. He didn't know what to do. Jisoo checked Young-ho quickly. Her face went pale. "He's gone." They had to leave him. It felt wrong. It felt like betrayal, but they had to keep moving. Minho promised himself he'd remember Young-ho's name. He'd remember all of them. They found an external corridor with windows. Outside, Minho could see the Vrexil fleet drifting in disarray. Ships were floating without coordination, their perfect formation broken. Some were trying to restore order, but without the command network, every ship was operating independently. They looked confused, uncertain. In the distance, he saw the Defiant's Hope. It was still there, still fighting. Small and battered, but not giving up. I can boost the signal from here, Hyejin said. She connected her console to a wall panel. Trying to reach our ship now. A voice crackled through. This is the Defiant's Hope. Who is this? Dong-yun, it's Minho. We're still alive. We're on the flagship's port side, section 14. Can you extract us? Sir, the flagship is huge. We can't dock with it. They'll shoot us down. Minho thought fast. Then we'll come to you. Is there anything near us we can use? Taijin's voice came on. Sir, I'm seeing some kind of shuttle bay near your position. If you can steal a shuttle, I can guide you back to us. Steal a shuttle, Minho repeated. Right, because everything else we've done today wasn't crazy enough. They found the shuttle bay. It was guarded by 6 Vrexil soldiers. The cadets studied them from a hiding spot. We can't fight 6 of them, someone whispered. We don't have to, Jisoo said. She pointed at the bay's control panel. If Hyejin can trigger a fire alarm, the guards will have to respond. It's protocol. Will Vrexil protocol work like human protocol? Hyejin asked. Only one way to find out. Hyejin hacked the control panel. Alarms started blaring. Fire suppression systems activated, spraying the bay with foam. The guards looked confused, but started moving toward the source of the alarm, just like protocol demanded. The cadets ran for the nearest shuttle. It was sleek and silver, much nicer than human shuttles. Taijin jumped into the pilot's seat. I have no idea how to fly this thing. Figure it out fast, Minho said, as Vrexil soldiers realized what was happening and started running back. Taijin's hands flew over the controls. The shuttle's engines roared to life. It lurched forward, crashing through the bay doors. Alarms screamed. Energy blasts hit their hull. I got it! I got it! Taijin shouted as the shuttle spun through space. He was lying. He clearly didn't have it. But slowly, the shuttle steadied. Defiant's Hope, we're coming to you, Minho said. Open the hangar bay. Sir, you've got 3 enemy fighters pursuing you, Dong-yun warned. Through the window, Minho saw them. Vrexil fighters, faster and more maneuverable than the stolen shuttle. Energy blasts streaked past them. One hit their rear shield. We're not going to make it, Taejun said. Then the Defiant's Hope opened fire. The training cruiser's weapons lit up space, forcing the Vrexil fighters to break off their pursuit. The shuttle shot into the hangar bay. Taijin crashed it more than landed it, but they were aboard. Minho ran to the bridge. Nari grabbed him in a tight hug before he could say anything. I thought you were dead. Almost, he admitted. On the main screen, the Vrexil fleet was regaining order. Their engineers had purged the virus. Ships were beginning to form up again. But something was different. They were moving slower, more cautiously. They're afraid, Jisoo said with wonder in her voice. Look at their formation. They're keeping more distance. They're protecting their flagship better. They're afraid of us. It was true. The mighty Vrexil Dominion, an empire spanning 12 systems, was afraid of 147 human cadets in a training ship. Dong-yun looked up from his communications console. His face was strange, showing hope and disbelief at the same time. Sir, I'm picking up new signals. Multiple ships. It's Earth's defense fleet. They got our broadcasts. They're coming. On the long-range sensors, dozens of human ships appeared. Real warships, crewed by professional soldiers. The cavalry had arrived. Admiral Yuna's face appeared on their screen. She was older, with gray hair and sharp eyes. This is Admiral Yuna of the Earth Defense Fleet. Identify yourself. Ma'am, Cadet Minho, acting commander of the training vessel Defiant's Hope. We've engaged the enemy and disrupted their command network. We have wounded and need support. The Admiral's expression was unreadable. Cadet, did you say? How old are you? 19, ma'am. Most of my crew is younger. There was a long silence. Then Admiral Yuna did something unexpected. She smiled. Cadet Minho, you and your crew have performed admirably. Stand by for support. We'll take it from here. The Earth fleet engaged the Vrexil Armada. Professional soldiers against an empire's military might. It was the battle everyone expected, the one that should have happened from the start. But the Vrexil were different now. cautious, uncertain. They'd come expecting an easy victory. Instead, they'd been bloodied by children. And now they faced an angry Earth fleet that had seen what their cadets had accomplished. Minho watched from the bridge as the battle raged. He was so tired he could barely stand, but he stayed at his post, watching his people. Some were crying with relief, some were laughing, some just sat in silence, processing everything they'd survived. Seojin stood alone, looking at the stars. Minho joined him. "You did good today." "We lost people," Seojin said quietly. "Youngho and others. I don't even know how many." 39, Minho said. He'd been counting. 39 cadets died defending this station. They stood together, two teenagers who'd been forced to become warriors. Outside, the battle continued, but for a moment, they just remembered the ones who didn't make it. The Vrexil fleet was breaking. Ships were withdrawing, retreating from a battle they should have won easily. Overlord Thex had underestimated humanity. He'd thought them weak and predictable. He'd learned too late that humans were neither. 3 days after the battle, Minho stood in what used to be the Academy's main assembly hall. Most of the station was still damaged, with repair crews working around the clock to fix the holes in the hull and restore the damaged sections. But this hall had been cleared and cleaned for an important meeting. He hadn't slept properly since the fighting ended. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the faces of the cadets who didn't make it. Youngho, dying in a Vrexil corridor, a first-year girl whose name he never learned, killed in the first attack. 39 names that would haunt him forever. Nari touched his arm gently. "You should rest." "Later," he said. "After this is over." The assembly hall filled with the surviving cadets. 108 of them remained. They looked different than they had 4 days ago. Older somehow. Their uniforms were stained and torn. Some had bandages. All had the same exhausted, haunted look in their eyes. Admiral Yuna entered with a group of senior officers. The cadets tried to stand at attention, but many were too tired or too injured. The Admiral waved them down. "At ease. You've earned the right to rest." She walked to the front of the hall and looked at them all. Her expression was complicated, mixing pride with sadness. "I won't waste your time with long speeches. You know what you did. The entire galaxy knows what you did." She activated a holographic display. It showed news broadcasts from across human space. Every channel was showing the same thing. The cadet fleet. The impossible defense. Headlines called them heroes. Some called them miracles. One called them humanity's fieriest children. "The Vrexil Dominion has requested negotiations," Admiral Yuna continued. "They want to discuss terms of surrender." The hall went silent. Surrender? The Vrexil were surrendering? "They're an empire of 12 systems with thousands of warships," the Admiral said, "but they're not fools." They analyzed what happened here. A training ship crewed by cadets destroyed 3 cruisers, crippled a dreadnought, and infiltrated their flagship. They calculated the cost of fighting an entire species that fights like you do, and they decided it wasn't worth the price. She pulled up tactical data. According to their analysis, if all human forces fought with the same determination and adaptability you showed, the war would cost them approximately 40% of their fleet. Even if they won, they'd be too weak to defend against their other enemies. Jisoo raised her hand. "Ma'am, we just got lucky. We're not professional soldiers." "Exactly," Admiral Yuna said. "That's what terrifies them. You're untrained children who improvised weapons from mining drones, performed a boarding action with training equipment, and hacked their command network with basic computer skills. Imagine what our actual military can do. They don't want to find out." Overlord Thex had requested to meet with the commander who orchestrated the defense. Minho was summoned to the negotiation room. He wore his cadet uniform because it was all he had. It still had burn marks from the fighting. Thex was there with several other Vrexil officials. They looked uncomfortable, their large frames squeezed into chairs designed for humans. When Minho entered, they all turned to stare. "You?" Thex said. "You are the commander?" "Cadet Minho, sir, acting commander of the Defiance Hope." Thex stood up, towering over Minho by more than 2 feet. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then the Vrexel officer did something Minho never expected. He bowed his head in respect. "I came to this system expecting an easy conquest," Thex said. "I studied your military tactics. I reviewed your fleet compositions. I calculated victory with 97% certainty. I did not study your spirit." "We did what we had to," Minho said simply. "You were attacking our home." "Yes, and that is what we failed to understand. You did not fight like soldiers. Soldiers follow orders, follow tactics, follow reason. You fought like cornered animals protecting their nest. There is no defense against such desperation." Admiral Una spoke up. "Overlord Thex has brought terms for a treaty. Complete withdrawal from human space, reparations for damages, and a non-aggression pact lasting 100 years. But we demand one thing in return," Thex said. "We wish to understand. Your species is young, technologically inferior, physically weaker than most spacefaring races, yet you possess something that makes you dangerous beyond your capabilities. We wish to establish cultural exchange programs, to study you, to learn why you fight the way you do." Minho looked at Admiral Una. She nodded slightly, giving him permission to speak. "You want to understand humans?" "Yes." "Then start with this," Minho said. "We don't give up, ever. You calculated that you could defeat us because logically, you should have won. But humans don't always follow logic. We follow our hearts. And our hearts told us that surrendering meant letting our families die. So we didn't surrender. We couldn't." Thex studied him carefully. "Your entire species is like this?" "Sir, I'm just a cadet. But I've studied Earth's history. We've fought each other for thousands of years. We've survived ice ages, plagues, natural disasters. We've faced extinction dozens of times. We're still here because we're too stubborn to quit. That's not military strategy. That's just who we are." The Vrexel officer was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that surprised everyone. "The Vrexel Dominion has existed for 4,000 years. We have conquered 73 species. We have never retreated from a battle, until now. You have taught us humility, young human. That is a valuable lesson." The treaty was signed the next day. The Vrexel fleet withdrew from human space, leaving behind promises of peace and requests for understanding. News spread across the galaxy. The story of the cadets who forced an empire to surrender became legend. 1 week later, Minho stood at the memorial wall they'd built for the fallen cadets, 39 names carved into metal. He touched Young Ho's name gently. "They're giving us medals," Nari said, joining him. "Highest military honors. We're supposed to feel proud." "Do you?" "I feel tired, and sad, and grateful to be alive." She looked at the wall. "We saved Earth, but the price was too high." Jisoo, Hyejin, and Taijun approached. Behind them came other cadets gathering around the memorial. They stood together in silence, remembering friends who'd never graduate, never go home, never grow old. "The admirals offered us immediate commissions," Taijun said quietly. "Full officer ranks. No need to finish our training." "Are you accepting?" Minho asked. "I don't know. Everything's changed. We're not students anymore. We're not really cadets. We're something else now." "We're survivors," Hyejin said, "and we have a responsibility to the ones who didn't survive, to make sure their sacrifice meant something." Seojin stood at the edge of the group. He'd barely spoken since they boarded the Vrexil flagship. "I'm going back to the academy, going to finish my training. Then I'm joining the fleet. If the Vrexil come back, or if anyone else threatens Earth, I want to be ready." Others nodded. They would return to their studies. They would complete their training properly. They would become the officers and leaders that Earth needed. But they would never forget the week they stopped being students and became warriors. Admiral Una found Minho later that day. "I wanted to thank you personally. What you did here saved billions of lives." "I just tried to keep my people alive," Minho said. "That's what makes a good commander. Not tactics or strategies, but caring about the people under your command." She handed him something. It was a datapad with transfer orders. "You're being offered a position on my ship. Command track, fast promotion to officer. You've proven you can lead under pressure." Minho looked at the orders. It was everything he'd dreamed of since joining the academy. But he thought about the memorial wall, about the cadets who'd trusted him and died following his orders. "I need to finish my training first," he said. "Properly. I need to learn how to be a real commander, not just someone who got lucky." Admiral Yuna smiled. "Lucky? That's what you call destroying an invasion fleet with a training ship? We got lucky that we survived. We got lucky that help arrived in time. We got lucky that the Vrexel decided to negotiate instead of sending more ships." Minho looked out the window at Earth, blue and beautiful below them. "I don't want to rely on luck next time. I want to be ready." "Then return to your studies, cadet. But remember, luck favors the prepared, and you prepared your crew well." The story spread across human space and beyond. Other species heard about the cadets who refused to surrender. The Vrexil shared their tactical analysis, warning others not to underestimate humanity. Some species saw humans as potential allies. Others saw them as threats. In the Academy's rebuilt classrooms, new cadets listened to stories of the Defiant's hope. They studied the tactics, the improvised weapons, the boarding action. But most importantly, they learned the lesson that Minho and his crew had proven. Humans might not be the strongest species. They might not have the best technology or the longest lifespans. But they had something that couldn't be calculated or measured. They had determination. They had adaptability. They had the absolute refusal to accept defeat when something important was at stake. They were only cadets. Just students. Just teenagers who'd been in the wrong place at the wrong time. But they were human. And that was enough. Years later, Minho would graduate and become an admiral himself. Jisoo would revolutionize human military tactics. Hyejin would design the next generation of defense systems. Taijin would train new pilots. Nari would run the military's medical corps. But they would always remember the week they were only cadets, fighting against impossible odds with nothing but determination and each other. They would remember the ones who fell, and they would make sure that humanity never forgot the lesson they'd learned. When threatened, humans don't calculate the odds. They don't surrender to superior force. They fight with everything they have, using whatever they can find, never giving up. The galaxy had learned that lesson at the cost of a Vrexil armada. Overlord Thex made sure every species in the known galaxy heard the story. A warning, a lesson, a promise. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and the galaxy would never be the same.